Oh, welcome to the War Room. Zevamel, Oliver Keohane, All Blacks, Springboks, 100th Test, 100 years. Come on, the Bokke! Come on, the Bokke!
40% over 100 years. 40% of the time we've won. Mate, I'm hanging on to that.
I mean, Mark, if we can beat the All Blacks in the 100th Test, I actually don't really care what happened in Australia or what happens on the end of your tour.
What happened in Australia?
Well, exactly.
Exactly. We did our bit. We've done our bit for Japan. We've done our bit for Italy. We did our bit for Australian rugby. They needed a bloody good win. We gave them two. So, Andy Mariners, you're happy.
We're generous.
So that we're a generous nation.
We care about rugby.
We do. And we care about it so much that we won't try and kill it. But we're going to play a style that I believe is going to have Clive Woodward in tears. It's going to have me with tears of joy. And I've said it, and I said it before the All Black team was picked. I have no disrespect to the All Blacks, as I wrote, more respect to this group of players. I've got the Springboks to win by 3 to 5 points.
Wow!
And here's a little fast fact for you.
Do it.
Francis Steyn. He's my talisman. Played 9, won 4, drew 4, lost 4, drew 1. One of the best records ever against the Springboks. And I've got him to turn back the clock against the All Blacks. I've got him to turn back the clock to 2009 when he kicked those 3 monster penalties. Morné Steyn did it. There's a second Steyn fairy tale coming. Be it a drop goal or a penalty.
Wow.
But I've got them to win.
I mean, that would be poetic, wouldn't it? I don't foresee it, but wow, that would be an amazing...
Not that we're biased here.
Fairy tale result for this weekend's match. I mean, I'd love to say that I think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
Ah, there you go again. You're wearing black.
But what I do like
You're a bloody disgrace, mate.
What I do like is that we're not all in agreement this week, so somebody's going to be right.
Someone has to be right.
Yeah.
It's going to be a draw.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marcus.
Yeah.
No, look, I mean, Jess, the All Blacks have played well this year. They've had 80 bad minutes over 8 tests. They were fantastic in that 57-22 win against Australia at Eden Park, and I thought they were very good in Perth under the circumstances to win the way they did. That first test against Argentina, outstanding. I thought that first 40 minutes against Argentina, where they could have had 6 tries, brilliant. But that last 30, kind of a bit of hope.
Yeah.
To a side like South Africa, who will play with intensity, play with physicality, and niggle. And just having worked with the Springboks in the early 2000s, having written Springbok rugby for the last 25 to 30 years, there's something about the All Blacks that gets our guys boiling, blood boiling. It just doesn't with other teams like Australia.
You've also got to think there's something about the All Blacks a week after 2 losses to Australia that really gets our guys blood boiling. You know, it's like...
Yeah.
If there was ever a point to prove, it's coming out this...
And that's how we roll though, Mark. We've had this conversation. You know, we love to have backs against the wall. We love to be 18-1 underdogs. That's how we hate being favourites.
We love being called unskilled, unfit, and unable to cope with being world champions. That's what the
Unhinged.
17 weeks in a bio bubble. That could be that if we're unfit, it's mentally that we're just drained and fatigued. The All Blacks have been on the road into week number 3 now, or week number 4. And they're already feeling it. They've still got another 10 weeks to go. They're going to the States, then they're going overseas on an end-of-year tour. They're not going home. So the point, Ollie, the point that I'm making there is it's easier to now knock South Africa, and maybe this game has come at the wrong time for the Boks, okay? But also give context to it. The All Blacks have been primed. They've played primarily at home. It's just been in the last 3 weeks that they've been in Australia. And their bigger challenges are coming, especially when they go and play those end-of-the-year tour because of the drain and the mental fatigue. So I am cutting the Boks some slack. 17 weeks in a bubble. Look, I thought they were goddamn awful in those last 30 minutes against Australia. But this isn't a chump team. This is a championship team. Anyone who came back and beat the Lions the way they did.
Yep.
1 test in 21 months, 26 of the squad, management and players having COVID, having to play most of those players who were fit against the Lions in an SAA game, coming back from a first test defeat and winning the way they did, and then knocking over Argentina by 20 points with 2 different teams. They can play. So people need to remember that, and that's where my confidence is coming, that they can trouble this All Black team. And it's again not knocking the All Blacks at all. They have been fabulous this year. They've gone up from last year. where they lost to Argentina, lost to Australia. You've got to have faith that if not this weekend, then which weekend?
No,
because it's not going to happen next weekend if they lose this weekend.
Yeah.
Have you left anything for us to say?
No, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. But look, Mark.
I think the timing is actually perfect. I don't think the timing's bad at all. I think we had to pick ourselves up after this World Cup to rally to play the British Lions. We did that. The Boks beat Argentina too easily, perhaps, and then kind of had their slump where they, lost sight of what they do and what their DNA is. Maybe read a few too many newspaper headlines, and Dwayne and Rassie and Jacques have now decided, hang on a minute, guys, this is not who we are.
Yeah.
Let's regroup. Let's rally just in time to face the All Blacks. There's going to be no chance that there's any complacency in that Bok camp when it comes to goal kicking, physicality, abrasiveness, none of that sort of stuff. So I think the timing is perfect for this test match for the Boks to bounce back.
But you just said they're not going to bounce back.
No, I think they will bounce back in their performances. I don't know whether they're going to win. I mean, the likelihood of that is low, but I definitely
What's that, Laurie?
They're going to run. Sorry, son.
His one selling point was, look, these All Blacks are due a bad game, and we are due a good game. So
That's the truth.
All right, Ollie, you said, this was a couple of months ago, you said based on last year, that the one question mark had was over the All Black pack and their physicality. Do you still hold that same view, or have you been seriously impressed by what John Plumtree's done this year?
Look, I mean, they've been markedly better than they were last season. I look at a couple of guys that have come to the fore in terms of Akira Ioane was one guy that was on the fringes, very much so, sort of in and out of that squad, issues with his fitness, with his attitude, supposedly. And I think he's kind of gone from strength to strength this year. The one guy who I thought was going to come through last year and then hasn't really from his Hoskins Tutu from the Blues. I thought he was sort of like their next number 8. They've got Luke Jacobson in there now. I don't know. I hear the name Luke Jacobson. Luke Jacobson, it doesn't exactly do the same that sort of previous All Black loose forwards have. But Brodie Retallick's huge, having him back. Scott Barrett has been better. Obviously Sam Whitelock can't play this weekend. Their front row is looking solid, but I'm still not convinced about their loose trio. I think Ardie Severe is a very good rugby player. I think he's about 5 kilos too light for a test against England or against the Springboks. Not convinced about Luke Jacobson, and then Akira Ioane's been very good, but let's see, he's played Australia, for how many times in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I still think the Springboks man for man are a much better pack. I think as a unit they're a much better pack. And I think if we can sort of get over this, there always seems to be this initial South African shock of we're playing the All Blacks, and then we go down 2 tries, and 20 minutes in we realize we're about 200 kilograms heavier in the scrum. And our set pieces are a lot better, and then Oaks start pulling it back, but it's a little bit too late, So you sort of hope that we start the match just understanding that we have the best pack of forwards in the world, albeit we are missing Peter Steph du Toit, which is huge. But Dwayne has now played 2 games back, 2 games against Australia. He's at the back of that scrum. We've got an interchangeable sort of front 3. Any team that's got Bongi Mbonambi and Malcolm Marx as a hooker axis that can swap, very strong locks. I think it's more so our pack's kind of game to lose than it is a New Zealand pack. I'll be very impressed if they can front up and better us. Yeah,
and I think that specifically applies in the second half of this match, because if you look at that All Blacks bench and who we're bringing off the bench, that second half is going to be crunch and decisive. We've got Stephen Kitsoff and Malcolm Marx coming off our bench. They bring off, I can't say any of their surnames, Samasoni, the Tongan hooker, who I think is probably their best hooker option. They've got Carl Tuanui Kuafe and Ofer, the giant tight end.
But the job beside the bed. What did you say there?
Well, I don't know how you pronounce his surname. So Samasoni, Carl and Ofer, and then they've got Patrick Tuipulotu and Ethan Blackadder. I mean, they've got some freaking monsters coming.
Patrick Tuipulotu back from his little 2-year ban, guns looking like this.
Yeah.
Look, they have... John Plumtree has said that the game's going to be won and lost up front because they have the ability, and we know that throughout history and especially in professionalism, that they can score 21 points in 3 minutes from 3 different kickoffs.
Yeah.
They have the capability, they have the most wonderful backs. But equally, we've seen when they have played against an England at times, against a very committed Springbok team who does not give them that forward domination, that their backs can get stifled. Beauden Barrett has been magnificent in that first test against Argentina, but he had played with such freedom, and there was no traffic in his face all the
Rolling
time.
downhill all the time.
And I do see the Springboks Look, there's going to be grunt and mongrel when they come out
Yeah.
there. It's got to just be controlled. We spoke about that we felt was lacking in the Australian test. There was a franticness that there wasn't in the Lions test. I think Lut coming back is massive again. His rugby intelligence in terms of the line-out, calling the line-out, giving that composure. Also seems to take a burden off Eben. Eben seems to thrive playing alongside Lut more so than when he has to be the front guy. And then Franco on the
Well, I
bench.
think it allows for a role. You know, it's like traditionally South African locks has been very specific roles, and when Lewis isn't there, the onus is then on Eben to carry a lot more responsibility than he.
And then you look at Franco, who's just his workload has just been insane. And then Ollie, you wrote that a while ago when you spoke about the 6-2 split and the famed bomb squad losing its identity because the bomb squad's only as good as its players.
Yeah.
I think by him being on the bench with a specialist like Van Staden is really the way to have gone for this test, regardless of whether Jasper Wiese was fit or available or not. I like the 5-3 split for this one.
Yeah, definitely.
And you've got a like-for-like replacement if if he empties the tank for 50 minutes and Van Staden comes on. Franco can come on for Kwagga at flank, or we can replace one of the locks if so be. And this... To have Vincent Koch at tight head, Kitsi at loose head, and Malcolm Marx to come on for 40 minutes. Very few teams in the world have that luxury.
One of them is the All Blacks, and those three guys I mentioned are power. I mean, those are three proper set piece forwards.
Yeah, and they've got 7 of the Blues squad are in the match 23, and the Blues have been accused of being a South African team during the New Zealand Super Rugby.
Spot on.
So I do like the balance of this All Black side. The only thing there is I would have picked Sevu Reece every day of the week.
I mean, how? How is he not in that squad? How is he not starting?
You know, and he's a player who would trouble us. If the Australian winners can trouble us, those stepping skills do trouble us. No matter how good your line speed is or your rush defense is, it's like a Colby can beat the biggest guy.
I find the inclusion of it's Will Jordan on the wing for Sevu Reece interesting though, because that isn't necessarily who Will Jordan isn't often picked to play on the right wing for the All Blacks. So I find it weird that they are dropping, one of their regular number 14s who does what he needs to do every week. He scores tries like every time he plays for a guy that traditionally has played at 15 for them, come off the bench, not an out specialist right winger.
Well, you can only think they've gone with their all-round best winner, George Bridge, Geordie Barrett, who's about 6'4", and a specialist fullback who's playing on the wing because they know what's coming.
They're getting ready for the bomb.
They're getting ready for Faf's left boot, Andre Pollard's boot, and Vinnie LaRue's boot because it's going to rain bombs. So I would understand that, but I then would have still looked to have Sevu Reece on the bench. They're going with Damien McKenzie and then the young centre who I rate, but it's and then use Geordie Barrett as a potential option to go into the midfield if they have an injury. It's a bloody good side. It's a good 23, and they really have improved this year. And they're playing some breathtaking rugby. But I just think they haven't really had an ugly test. And this could be the ugly test. But for us, the most beautiful test.
Well, what I'm most excited about is that centre from the Springboks going up against Rico Keohane. I think that's a great matchup for Lekanya. I don't think
the one that's not very good according to Laurie Mains.
To Laurie Mains, that centre,
And I wouldn't mind seeing that win that we apparently don't want to pass the ball to. One who scored 16 tries in 18 tests. Who scored a World Cup winning final try. Mapimpi, I think his name is, Laurie. I wouldn't mind seeing him just get a little bit of space and show them, put on the afterburners and show them that he's got some jet shoes on him. I think it's going to be a cracker of a test. It's on neutral ground. I just hope that mentally the Boks can find something because they are at the end of their tether, without a doubt. They come back to South Africa after next weekend's test match. They have 2 weeks here, and then they're back off for the end of their tour, France, Scotland, England. So it's going to be tough going back there again. But if the blood doesn't get boiling for 100th against New Zealand, it doesn't matter how long the season's been, when will it ever? But let's not underestimate the drain and the fatigue that came out of that Lions series and what it took to win that Lions series. 12 of the 15 who started the World Cup final are starting this one. So they know each other. They collectively know each other. We spoke about it last week, Ollie. They veered away from the blueprint. They got seduced by the world. They decided to play like Australia. Australia decided to play like us. And we saw the end result. 4 tries to 1, and we didn't have the 4 tries.
So, I mean, all of us are hoping for a win. We'd love to see the Boks.
No, I'm saying it will be a win.
And you're saying it will be a win.
You hope.
I'm asking you, what is the minimum the Boks have to do to show the bounce back from Australia? What is the result that is the bare minimum to be considered as South Africa rebounded from those 2 losses and have shown that they've still got something in the tank.
I would love for the game to have 3 to 5 points in it either way, and for it to be a contest. And I think it is. I think it's going to be more of a contest than a lot of the South African public gives us credit for. It's like, you've got to laugh at the way the wheels have come off completely after 2 losses against Australia, which would, when you put it into context, it's what, like you said, was 1 scrum away from being a good win in Australia for the first time in 28 years. Then you field the second team, and it's a very different dynamic. But that 1 scrum went the other way. We lost. Everyone was shattered. We then lost a week later. But now it's as if the Lions tour didn't happen, the World Cup didn't happen, And you still look at that World Cup game against the All Blacks. That was a very, very good game. And though the scoreline was about a 12-point differential, 10 in the end, there were stages during that match where it could have gone either way. There was a missed penalty here, there was a disallowed try. It was a great contest, and I think we need to just give our guys a little bit more credit than we have given them in this week for what they are going to front up with.
Well, the last time that they played each other was at World Cup opener.
Yeah.
All Blacks were ranked. They were again chasing the number 1 ranking. They were the defending champions. We were a bit lower down in the pecking order. It was the most incredible first 30 minutes that the Boks played, and how they would have blown any team away, and they couldn't. Full credit to the All Blacks. They scrambled on defence. They defended heroically, and 24 minutes, 27 minutes, 17-3 up, and people thought, that's it, now they'll blow them away. And systematically, Peter Steff scored. Pollard kicked a penalty, the drop goal. 17-13 going into that last 10 minutes. And then there was that incredible tackle from Richie Mo'unga on Cheslin Colby, where he backtracked, and he caught him. Could have been a very different outcome had Colby scored there. Ill discipline, All Blacks finished the stronger, 23-13. If you take this current group of players, and it started in that last test in Cape Town in 2017, they took 57 points in New Zealand. Afterwards, Kieran Reid said, we're going to have to play really well to beat them in Cape Town. Everyone thought he was just taking the piss, okay? 25-24. Rassie and Jacques came in, 36-34. Then 30-13 up after 70 minutes at Pretoria. Rassie said they thought they could start playing some rugby against them. They lost 32-30. Then went over again to Wellington, 16-9. Cheslin Colby, a little bit of magic, a chip kick, bounces for Herschel Yankees, and we score 16-all. So this group of players has that rivalry with the All Blacks.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Average scored 24, Springboks 26, the All Blacks. And I'm expecting that kind of game on Saturday. I am believing it's going to be 26 to us and 23 or 24 to them.
Nice.
But we have to keep them below 23 to be successful. They're 4 draws and 12 defeats since 2012. They've had those lower scores when they have lost. The minute they get past 25 points, you don't beat them. Or seldom. We did, and it was an
because then it
aberration
means you've got to score over 25 points against them, and that's also another thing that people don't give the All Blacks enough credit for is their defence, their defensive acuity. It's like for as many great tries as they score, how many teams do you see crossing the line against them regularly in a game,
And we also can't discount the fact that they're clear favourites to win this thing after what South Africa's done over the last fortnight. They're without Richie Mo'unga, they're without Aaron Smith.
And that's the big one.
I mean, they're 2 tactical decision makers there, and don't underestimate the value of Sam Whitelock in running their lineup. We talk about Lewis and what he does for South Africa. Or Scott Barrett and Brodie Retallick going to get that done for the All Blacks. So there's definitely something in this.
Look, I think it's going to be a fantastic test match. Mentally, I believe our guys will be there this weekend. I think the whole of Australia may look on and think, where were these blokes last weekend?
Who are these guys?
I think we're going to see the kind of intensity we saw from the Boks during the Lions series. Look, to me, not having the Bitcoin king and the most famous water boy in rugby, not having Rassie there is a huge factor. Let's not,
huge.
He's on the Zoom calls. He's kind of helping coach from Plattekloof during the test match. It's not quite the same. But I know he's been very involved this week. He's kind of been burning the midnight oil on both sides. So living in South Africa and basically living on Australian time. I think we will do the occasion justice. And that we will make South Africa proud and make South Africans proud. And that we will show that there was a reason we won the World Cup and there's a reason we beat the Lions. And we didn't see that at Suncorp Stadium. And people must stop with this crap about we don't play the all-round game. This team on occasion has played some fantastic rugby. They did when they won 36-34. They did when they won 42-39 against England. They played some amazing rugby at the World Cup. They're a horses for courses team.
Spot on.
You play the All Blacks at their game, you're going to take 50.
Yep.
Australia tried to play them at their game and conceded 57
We played
points.
Australia at their game.
And we took a big one. So I think Argentina in that second half showed a little bit to us that these guys can come unstuck. And again, I've been hugely impressed with the All Blacks this year. I wasn't last year. I think Plum is starting. This is the Plum that coached the Sharks that we saw. He's brought a bit of grunt back to that pack, a bit of mongrel. I still think, as Ollie said, they're one or two quality players shy in their pack. And I don't know if their back division at the moment is quite the one I would have gone with. But we can't pick a better team. Outside of Peter Steff that's injured and Chesson that's injured, that is the best we've got. And if that best isn't good enough, then we're not good enough. And but I believe we will be. And Francis Steyn will do it. What a big one! Yo, 2021, he'll boot them over.
What a year.
And everyone will say never in doubt.
We actually did go for a 6-2 split.
We could have Francie on the flag,
Easy, no
prop, whoever.
problem.
But I think it's great to be excited about this test
Yeah.
match. And everyone's saying like, well, we've won 3 out of 21, but we have 40% historical win record. Australia has 30%, the British Lions 26%, England 23%, France have won 12 out of 61, and every other team has got between 1 and 9%. The All Blacks have been magnificent throughout time. They are consistently the best team in the world, and the only team that really does give them a tickle and get their blood boiling, I think, is the Springboks.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Can't wait. Scoreline?
I'm going to say the All Blacks 27-23.
Ollie?
25-23 to the box.
Okay, I'm going 27-22 to the box. 5 points. I'm getting more confident.
Keep rolling.
And that's not my halftime score, that's my end score. But the odds, 6-1 on Betway. 6-1. That you put down $100, you get 600 back. Put down 1,000. Go. Just say if I'm going to lose some money, I'm going to do it this weekend. I'm really going to back the South African teams in the United Rugby Championship. I'm going to back the Box in the Rugby Championship. The odds are just so generous that you can't actually ignore them. 6-1 on an outright win. You have to put it down on the Box and be responsible. You don't have cash and just put down $20, okay? It's been a pleasure chatting, Zels.
Lovely, Mark.
Wearing your black. I know you're a big All Black fan. Ollie, I know it kind of pained you to say only 2 points. We'd like it to be more.
Yeah.
But enjoy the game, and the beauty of this game, regardless of what happens, how often do we get to play them back to back? And there's another one coming on the 2nd of October as well. So, back the Bokke! And respect the All Blacks.